Hello and welcome. This is Anna's Travel Talk, and I'm your host, Anna Hoy. And I am passionate about travel, but I'm also a vacation specialist and owner with Vacations by Anna, Dream Vacation. And joining me today, I have Drew Daly. And Drew Daly, hi Drew.
Hi Anna, how are you?
I'm good. Drew is our Vice President and General Manager. And get this, he has over 25 years in the travel sector. So we're excited to have Drew with us today, and we're going to talk about the future of travel. I'm sure you can imagine that travel has been put on hold. Many people have had their vacations postponed or canceled. And I'm finding that over the summer, a lot of folks were going to local road trips, jumping in the RV with the family, taking some domestic trips. And more recently, many folks, from my understanding and from what I'm reading and hearing, are heading out to the Caribbean and Mexico. So we're going to be joined today by Drew Daly. And again, welcome.
Anna, thank you so much for inviting me to come on today and to kind of connect with you and your viewers. And I hope you all are doing safe and healthy, and all your loved ones are too. Super excited to be here, as I said, and you're so kind, 25 years. I have to just for the record clarify, that is correct if you're doing the math. I started in this industry when I was only 2 years old. So.
I know, right?
So
well,
anyway,
of course.
It's nice seeing you. Thank you again. And you're right. I mean, a lot of people right now, their travel has been put on pause. And if you like us, when you're at home working and doing your social distancing and being mindful of your environment, you're dreaming and couch surfing for that next dream vacation. And there's so many great places, whether it's in your backyard, literally in some cases, or getting to travel in other parts of North America, and then what I call international domestic, like that local international Caribbean and Mexico, which has definitely just opened up. But we all are very optimistic and certainly excited about the future. But for now, we have to make sure that we are mindful of the health environment and make sure safety and health protocols are paramount wherever you travel.
Absolutely. And if I understand correctly, didn't you recently take a trip somewhere fun? I think it's Aruba. I
did. Like, you know, I missed getting on to an airplane and missed going somewhere. So I decided, which based on my research, I looked at the Caribbean, and Aruba was the decision maker, largely because the time I was going. So I was going in August. August is hurricane season. Aruba is part of the ABC Islands, and they are outside of the hurricane belt for the most part. So weather was a big thing for me. I just, after this year, you know, I wanted to make sure I had more certainty that I was going to go somewhere and have great weather. And it was an amazing experience. The island is known as One Happy Island, and it really lives up to that name because the people are so friendly. They have some of the best restaurants in the Caribbean, if not even in this part of the hemisphere, because they have a lot of great people that come from the Northeast, from the Midwest and the West Coast, and we all love food, right? But in the Caribbean, when you can go out and get the qualitative foods, whether it's seafood, steakhouses, whatever that looks like, but also in the same getting, you know, in a great destination. So Aruba, they actually have different requirements. They did require that everybody going had to have a negative PCR test for COVID-19. They also required you to buy their insurance, because as a destination, they had their own insurance, which was nominal. It was about $15 per day. And that I never traveled without health insurance, so I had that as well. But in the same respect, when I was there, it was actually just the same as being home, because it was still social distancing. So masks were everywhere, hand sanitizers. But when you're lying out in the pool, you're at the beach, you're doing stuff that's fun in the sun, you know, you don't have to do all that. So it's kind of cool. And there wasn't as many people, unfortunately. That's the other sad part, is these islands that rely heavily on tourism, not as many people are going, so.
Yeah, and similarly, I went on a road trip this summer to Las Vegas with my husband, and we found that there was a lot of changes. We still were able to have the greatest time as ever, but there were some changes. So that brings me to, how has travel changed? Based on the fact that you just went on a vacation, I just went on a little trip.
So you know what it is? For everybody, it's like, how do you consume things? And we're human. So as the human behavior, we're all visualists. So we need to see it. Like we all have to, in order to consume it, especially travel, because it's an intangible product, we are going to get intrinsic value when we travel because it's going to help us just relax, get rest. It allows us to vacate so that we can come back and recreate in our lives. So
well said.
Right. So first and foremost, when you're in an airport, think of the travel components. You have airfare, you have a hotel maybe, and you have or a cruise. So airfare, the airports, it's completely different. I was at the Miami International Airport. Nobody was around. So the number of people traveling is significantly down. There are plastic guards up pretty much everywhere. When you go to check-in counters, TSA pre-check, you have to wear masks. You have to have social distancing measures and markers are on the walls, on the floors. They're really mindful of this. I will say that when you go through TSA, the one time you take your mask off, because think of it, you have to show your identity with your ticket.
Yeah, make sure you're the person behind the mask, right?
Yeah, exactly right. They need to know who's behind the mask. Plus, they want you to do all the scanning of your documents. You don't exchange your ticket with the TSA worker anymore. You scan it yourself. I'm thankful for that because I'm still old school. I haven't adapted to the online boarding on my phone. I still print it out on paper and go. But
I do as well.
I'll get there.
So touchless contact as much as possible throughout the process.
Touchless contact as much as possible. A lot of the concession stands in the airports and stuff like that, everything's individually wrapped, no buffets, all that. When you go to the islands, it's really no different than when you're in your backyards for that matter. They're all about social distancing. It is about educating people. Masks are required to be worn when you're traveling out and about, going shopping, going into stores, going to restaurants, going on boats, if that matter. If there's certain people, like whether it's a boat to go around an island on a tour, whatever that looks like, so.
Yeah, I'm finding that as well. And I was speaking with some resorts recently, and they were talking to me a little bit about their hygiene and health and safety protocols. So my understanding is they have some stringent policies and procedures that they have to maintain to keep their guests and their staff healthy and safe.
Well, and that's why, Anna, I give you a lot of credit. It's not easy being a travel advisor right now because you have to balance act of like, okay, what are all the rules and regulations? But like you're the expert. So people come to you, they rely upon you to hold their hand, to help save them time, energy, and money, which by the way, that's the biggest value a travel agent provides is they're going to take the headache away from it. And in this environment, when it comes to understanding the safety and health protocols, nobody out there is going to be able to help you guide you through this process better than Anna, because she's going to know the ins and outs. And I think that's where you need to just always reiterate it because it's so important because there's so many I's to dot.
Yeah, and moving parts right now, yes.
And if you have a customer that wants to go to Mexico, the requirements are different than the Dominican Republic. If they want to go to Europe, those requirements are different. And more importantly, we're so excited. We cannot wait for cruising to return. So if you're like me, I miss being at the sea, on the sea. Cruising is in my blood. I'm passionate about it. It's a great way to travel and experience the world. And I promise our cruise line partners are doing their due diligence now in partnership with the Center for Disease Control to ensure that they have all the safety, health protocols in place. But look, before they even unveil that, I can pretty much tell you it's going to be social distancing. There's going to be less amount of people on board the ship. Buffets are things of the past. They're going to look at different activations when they go to ports. All that stuff's going to be different. But what's not different is it's still a safe, reliable, and a great way to go and experience different cultures in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. And it's actually, in my opinion, one of the safest ways to travel. And I also understand that in Europe, they are selling. So they're having some successes with the ships following the protocols that you just mentioned. And I believe that they're going pretty smoothly.
They are. It's a great point, actually. MSC Cruises, Costa Cruises just recently, and some other smaller cruise lines have. And what MSC has instituted in most is that they require a negative test prior, and they do it prior to boarding. So, I think as we've advanced so much with since the pandemic unfolded, because there's been, you know, different ways to navigate and certainly get testing and all of that. But and also they're more mindful, they're more aware of the science, and they're making decisions based on the science and making sure people are safe. Safety first for everything.
Yeah, I love that. And I can't wait to get back to cruising either. I love cruising. My last cruise was I went on Norwegian Joy and I head over to the Mexican Riviera. And it was really right before the pandemic. And so I can't wait to get back to cruising either.
Well, think about it. These cruise ships have, for many years, when they first started, they were a mode of transportation, but they've evolved over the past 30 years to be the actual vacation destination. And I would say in the last 10 years, they've become more of that. So you look at the Oasis class ships with Royal Caribbean, whether they have rock climbing, ice skating, you know, zip lining, Broadway style shows. Then Norwegian, you mentioned the Joy. Oh my word, these beautiful ships. They have race tracks. Like this is just the water slides on board. Like these are an experiential destination in and of themselves. I believe that because of all the great inclusions on board a cruise, when they do return, consumers that are going to be cruising, even first-time cruisers and people that are avid cruisers, are really going to be diving right into the onboard activities. And there's so much to enjoy and do that the ports and the cruise destinations will be secondary, because the ship itself is an amazing destination.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And then earlier you mentioned a little bit about insurance and travel protection. Yeah. And so, you know, as a travel agent, we always advise our travelers to purchase travel insurance and travel protection, you know, because it adds to the trip and makes sure that you feel safe, especially in these uncertain times. How are you feeling about travel insurance right now? Like, what advice do you have to the audience?
Well, like I said before, I never travel personally anywhere without having travel insurance. It's a mission critical piece of the vacation planning process and of your trip. You should always protect yourself against the unknown. Life is just unknown. Things happen. Obviously, with the coronavirus, there's different pieces and different things to make sure that you're covered, protected, and there's different products out there. And I know, Anna, you have a lot of detail and insight into the different products that we sell. I think ultimately you want to look at your options, but the product that we sell definitely provides you with comprehensive health insurance coverage, cancellation benefits as well. And then there's certain things, like I mentioned how Aruba has a different policy because that policy was specific to a requirement of that destination. What was interesting, when I was in Aruba, I met with one of the local lobbyists, if you will, for lack of a better word. And I guess not an ambassador, but like someone of that stature. And they just said, you know, look, we're looking to take down that price of the insurance because their claims fund isn't. So it's not a revenue driver for them. They expected that if they're opened up, just like any insurance works, then ultimately they would expect claims activity. Well, the great news about this is they're not seeing any claim activity because they're not having new cases. So I think, and that's just Aruba. I don't want to confuse it. I get very passionate about things, but I am very passionate about protecting your vacation investment, making sure that when you travel, you can travel with less friction and just have the wherewithal to know that there's peace of mind. Travel insurance is something that I think, Anna, you would agree that you would recommend traveling and never traveling without it. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As a travel advisor, and if you don't know how to navigate it, you reach out to your travel advisor like myself, and we'll help you to select the best policy for you, depending on what your needs are. Absolutely. And I appreciate working for a company like Dream Vacations to have access to such great suppliers and to great companies, including our travel protection.
And just to talk about it, not to go down the details, when you all are ready to travel and you talk to Anna and I'm jealous that she gets to help you plan your dream vacations. Talk about the insurance options that are out there, because ultimately within the environment now with coronavirus in our landscape, in our background, there are the policies that we have do cover if you are a traveling companion, you know, whether it's trip cancellation, medical coverage, it is a covered reason as well, so.
Yeah, and speaking of the cancel for any reason, I'm finding that many of our suppliers are having more flexible cancel for any reason policies. So for the folks that are a little ambivalent about traveling, you know, the fact that we have the insurance and the fact that there is more flexible cancellation policies makes it a little bit less risky for you to want to go travel. Would you agree?
So great point. So a couple of things. I definitely agree. I'm thrilled you brought this up. Most of the cruise lines, tour operators, resort vacation companies, they are just really wanting to encourage all of you to take action and make a vacation and just start planning and start executing that process. A little unknown fact too, the more you plan, the actual process of planning for a vacation, so talking to Anna about the different destinations, planning a date, checking out pricing, looking at resorts, looking at a cruise ship, that whole process gives you much more happiness like vibes in your brain, sometimes than even traveling and experiencing it does. So planning your vacation is mission critical. Ultimately, what you're looking at that is you want to make sure as you iron out all the wrinkles of the planning process is that you kind of just go through the different components and talk through that, talk through them with Anna. And I get so excited about this that I probably just completely didn't answer any of the questions. I sometimes build a bridge to nowhere, but the cancel for any reason, the question that you asked, the cancel for any reason part combined with the flexible policies from the cruise lines. They came out with this benefit because they want to encourage you all, us all, to start planning for travel. Make no mistake, travel and cruising is returning and it will be bigger and better than ever. And we're super, super excited to help you execute that journey.
Yes.
But just because they came out with these flexible payment options and cancel for any reason type components, you still want to have a like the travel insurance products that Anna has access to, because it provides you with trip coverage, like when you're away, because it's still an important piece. It's not just the cancellation piece, it's health insurance, it's trip interruption, it's baggage delay, all of that. But more importantly, we want you to experience some of the great products. Sorry, Anna, see what happens?
No, you answered it. No, I'm glad that you elaborated on it, because it makes it a little bit more clear to anyone in the audience in case they're getting confused with the cancel for any reason policy, and then if they need trip insurance. So I do think that you addressed it. So thank you, Drew.
And by the way, you mentioned it's confusing, right? I mean,
it is confusing, and that's one of the reasons that you work with the travel advisors, because we kind of help you through all the minutia and all the confusion, and we help hopefully make it a clear picture for you so you can enjoy your vacation, have a stress-free experience, right?
Love it. That's right.
So on that note, in my opinion, I think people should start looking to plan and book their 2021 vacation. Are you on the same mindset as I am on that?
I am. You want to know why? It's literally a race for space. Like,
yes.
There's not going to be, I told you, I don't know if I'll just expand upon it. When the cruise lines return, even resorts, like I mentioned in Aruba, my own experience, I think the resort was 30% occupied. They still have restrictions about what they're going to reopen at, resorts. Cruising, when it does return, will absolutely have restrictions. And they're going to be places where maybe it's 60%, maybe it's 50% of their normal occupancy. But there are people already booked for 2021 cruises. So at some point, whatever the restrictions are, whatever they come out with as safety protocols, they're going to hit a ceiling of that 50%, and those cruises will no longer be able to be sold. So that's what I'm saying. It's a race for space, because those cabins, once they go, they're not going to have the wiggle room like they've had in the past. Not that they built cabins, but ultimately they're a mechanism. It's just the way the industry works is they assume a certain percent are going to cancel. So they sometimes sell more than 100% because that's how it's set up. But there will definitely be a restriction in terms of the number of people on board when cruising returns.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I'm finding that many of the folks, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, that had their vacations or cruises canceled, they rebooked, and they rebooked with the same supplier. So that in and of itself lets you know that they rebooked for 2021. And we have reduced capacities.
Right.
So with both of those components in mind, you should book your vacation now, even for next fall, spring and summer, you should be booking that now.
I don't want to get into a law of economics class. I think supply and demand, right? If you have less, it's all going to factor in pricing. Think of all the people who were going to go to Alaska this year. Well, they couldn't do it. So they're literally they look at 2021. Well, but there were already people on the books for 2021. So ultimately that's going to only exacerbate. And it's just, those are the realities, but pricing will go up now is the time to get the best, maximize your vacation dollar, get the best bang for your buck, get the best promotion. I know, Anna, you know about all of our exclusive prices and promotions that are out there, but reach out to Anna. She can help you navigate that. But I promise right now is the best time to buy.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And then in your opinion, we kind of touched on some of them, but how do you feel that travel's going to be recovering?
Yeah, you know, I was so comforted when I had to go to somewhere. So when I planned Aruba, I went to the airport. There wasn't a lot of people, but there were people. And the plane to Aruba was full. The island may not have been at full capacity. Like I said, the hotel was at a significantly reduced capacity, but they were so happy to see people. Servitude is what these islands are all about. We're in the hospitality industry. I think you're going to find as you travel, people will be more hospitable than they were in the past because they're so appreciative of when people are coming to visit their island or go on their cruise ship or whatever that looks like. So travel, cruising, resorts, escorted tours, all of that, people, you know, we only get on average as a country 2 weeks of vacation a year. We're lucky if we take one of those, right? Because unfortunately, I forget, I'll tell you the studies show, like what several years ago, maybe it was a 2018 study, 70% of Americans left unused vacation time on the table. I think
Man.
that's a lot.
Yes.
That may have been one day here, one day there. And it largely was because of guilt of not knowing, well, I don't know if my job can function without me. And I believe all those cards are out the window right now. All bets are off. People can't wait to travel because they need to get away from the reality of 2020, right?
Listen, yeah, they need to get away from Zoom. They need to get out of their house. They're, you know, as we talked in our beginning of our conversation or before we started, many moms and dads are homeschooling. So they're working from home, they're homeschooling, we're quarantining, and people just are itching to get out and travel.
And a vacation mindset is a great state of mind. When you are planning your vacation and when you go to start literally traveling and experiencing that intangible product, you really do appreciate. And it does, like I said earlier, it brings you away. You get to vacate from your reality, and then you can come back and you're fresh, you're more different perspective, and you really can recreate, and you're excited to do so. I'll be honest though, the first day back, I was like, all right, I want to go back to Aruba, right? I was like, get me back on that plane. But you know what? It's good. Like, we're so lucky to do what we do. And we just want to help you all plan your trip and help you get to experience this amazing world.
Thank you, Drew. And on that note, why is it more important now than ever before to use a travel agent?
Well, how much time do we have? So,
as much as you would like, Drew.
I hope that this message finds people that have never thought of using a travel agent before, because I think in many cases, it's like, oh, I can use the internet and just Google or YouTube certain things, which is great. These are great tools. We have great technology out there. But travel agents, I said, save time, energy, and money. More importantly, they take the headache out of the planning process. They are your advocate, meaning they advocate on your behalf. So unfortunately, when people's trips were displaced this year and they were left to contact the tour operators and cruise lines directly or what have you, they didn't have someone advocating on their behalf to make sure certain things would happen. Travel agents, travel advisors do that. They really take over the whole process. They don't like having to cancel things because they want to make sure you get to experience your dream vacation. But Anna, her colleagues, all of us really want to make sure that we are there to help you. And let's face it, we have no bias. So all we want to do is have a conversation. The conversation is going to start with, where do you want to go? Why do you want to go there? Who's going with you? What are you looking to do on your vacation? We want to make sure we understand, because then we can take an artful, because it is an art. A travel advisor is an artist, because they need to make sure they're painting you your Picasso or your Mona Lisa, because your vacation time is important. So that's where the conversation, and by your answers to questions and you getting to share with them what your dreams are in a trip, they are going to hold your hand. They're going to make sure you are presented with the best options for you and your family. Whereas if you just start clicking on the internet, nobody's taking you through those filters. Technology can only go so far. A travel agent brings the person and makes it more personal for you.
Wow, well said. You'd think you've been in the industry for 25 years or more, Drew, with that
I mean,
answer.
I could probably keep going. I'm really passionate. I envy you, Anna, because when I first started off at selling and working with customers and helping them plan their vacations, I loved it. And I know you have the same energy and passion for that. So I applaud all your viewers and customers that get to connect with you after today and any day, just so that you can help them plan and get them the best, not just the best product for them, but also the best deal, the best value, because travel agents add tremendous value. And let me tell you, I can see it. I saw it unfold online within the trade, within media, because there were reports on CNN, on NBC, on Facebook, of course, we all get our news from Facebook, but of people that unfortunately had bad experiences. And it was because the company they worked with, an online travel agency, went out of business or what have you. Well, listen, that's why using an actual, travel advisor, a person is gonna, when you have that one-on-one relationship, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in my experience prior to being a travel advisor, I went on a trip with my husband and we went to Greece. And on the very last day of the trip, I happened to fall and injure myself. And I didn't book it through a travel agent. I didn't buy travel protection. And little did I know, when I returned, I found out that if I had purchased the travel insurance and if I had a travel advisor, I could have called them and they would have advised me I could go to any hospital and be treated. Instead, I suffered all night in my hotel room with what ended up being a torn rotator cuff and flew upwards of 10 plus hours home from Greece in pain, only to find out, that I ended up needing surgery. But if I would have known then what I know now, if I would have had a travel agent and travel insurance, I would have had a totally different experience.
So even your own testimonial, and hear it from Anna directly, it's a great testimonial. I have other testimonials of my own personal histories. I didn't always travel with insurance, but make no mistake, after my own lessons of life that I learned, I do. And I think that's one great example, Anna, because even, God forbid, if something were to happen, you can always call your travel agent. They're going to help you wherever you are. And that does happen. But more importantly, as you get to the planning process, they have access to exclusive pricing, exclusive deals, all that. So, and I just think there's some great promotions out there, and different offers. I think ultimately the travel agent saves time, energy, money, and they take away some of the headache.
Yes, I agree 100%. And that's one of the reasons I work for Dream Vacations, being part of World Travel Holdings, one of the largest cruise and leisure travel companies in the nation. And, the company's relationships with our preferred partners goes without saying. And that really helps us to do our jobs well, because we as travel advisors have access to so many resources. And many of our suppliers, they only sell through travel agents. So if you go online, you can search all day long on every travel site and you won't be able to find them because they only sell through travel agents like ourselves. And so I do appreciate, the fact that I get to work for a great company like Dream Vacations and have that access. And that helps me to get the right location, the right supplier, the right pricing for my customer.
Yeah, no, and you're so great. I mean, think about it, and it kind of makes sense. You get to help people expand their own narrative. If they go online, they only are seeing certain things. But by talking to you, you get to open up their options and help them make the best decision, which is what it's all about. Because if you only get 2 weeks of vacation a year and you only take one to go somewhere, you want to make sure you get a positive return on that investment.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. So is there anything else you want to add on what's the quote unquote new normal of traveling for our audience?
I don't. I think the new normal is to begin traveling, right? Like we're at a stage now and you do what's comfortable for you, right? If you want to travel, then do it. If you want to stay local, do it. There's so many options, whether it's in North America, whether it's in your own backyards, in your community area, or just going local, Caribbean, Mexico, there are options. I think I encourage you all to reach out to Anna individually so she can have a conversation. Even if it's not to travel today or tomorrow, but she can start she can add you onto her newsletter list, and you're going to be able to have access to all those exclusive pricing and promotions so that when your time is ready, then you're ready to flip the switch and take action. You'll have access to all of those great deals.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I know you're a very busy guy, and I so appreciate you coming on and speaking with our audience and adding your, flavor, I guess, to, and your insight on the travel industry, because that is, a lot of people are, wondering what's happening right now with travel, when is travel returning? And I think that we addressed that today. So thank you so much for coming on with me, Drew. We really appreciate it.
Anna, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so honored, and thank you all so much for tuning in, if you will. And certainly I look forward to, as I know Anna does, helping you book and helping you get your next dream vacation. So Anna, thank you so much. Great seeing you, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Drew. And
Welcome.
thank you for watching Anna's Travel Talk. And if we've inspired you today, hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified when we go live every week with new content. And if you want to speak with a travel advisor, my information will be below, and myself and my team would love to help you plan your next dream vacation. So thank you for watching Anna's Travel Talk. Until next time, have a great day.